There's one question I've avoided answering because it's gonna probably upset some collectors. But today I want to tell the truth, even if it means I might lose a few subscribers. Now, before we get into the controversy, let's start with some personal questions as well. Now, other than reviewing the questions, I haven't done a lot of, prep for this. So this is gonna be really an authentic conversation between me and the watch fam. So if you like something like this, continue to watch or skip ahead with the timestamps. But if you skip ahead, make sure you like and subscribe because the YouTube algorithm doesn't like that. So let's just hop into it with the first question. Oh, and if I misspeak, make sure you drop the corrections in the comments down below so you can help me be better and help the watch fam know the right answer. So let's get into it, that first question. So one of the questions I get often is, what got you into watches and what was your first watch? So interesting about this question is there's actually an entire article that I wrote about this on the website wristunwound.com where you can check out not only my articles, but some of my interviews, and there's gonna be some more stuff coming in there soon. But going back to what got me into watches. So I was deployed in the Middle East, and in the military culture and where I was working, for one, I wasn't allowed to wear any kind of smart technology, which threw out my Apple Watch. And then just being around a lot of people who were very interested in watches is what kind of really drew me in. Now, the interesting part was where I was in the world, there was a lot of fake watches, particularly the fake Rolexes, which we call the Rolexes, and the fake Omegas, which we call the Fomegas. And so having access to seeing these is what really made me start to question like what makes people like these things and what is the big deal about the price difference? Why can't I get this $100 fake one versus a 10,000 real one? And so as I started to dig more and learn more about the history of watches, the brand Tudor is the one that really caught my eye. Now, if you're watching this video, you're a watch fan, but if not, let me just break it down. Obviously, Tudor and Rolex were the same overall arching company, similar to you have like Toyota and Lexus. And so when I learned about that, I started to question what was the difference in value. Now, there are some obviously differences in movements and some difference in material, but is the difference really worth 2 to 3 times as much? And I think the key thing that I came to believe or discover was it's about the story. And so in understanding the importance of a brand story and horological history, I was looking for a brand that told the story that I wanted to tell. And so that's when I started down the watch rabbit hole. Now that led me down to my love for Timex, which I can talk more about later if you want, but it basically started my journey. And now a couple years later, here I am. I got an Instagram page, got a YouTube channel, and well over 160 watches in the collection. But I think the original spark was just learning the history and learning about what made watches valuable. And then as a nerd, I went all the way in. So yeah, if you have more questions about the story, check out the article or just leave comments down below and I can do that in a follow-up video. Why did I start Wrist Unwound and what was my long-term vision for the channel? I actually started with my Instagram page, Timex Tales 1854, which is still my personal Instagram page. Now, what that was about was me trying to find a way to showcase my love for Timex watches. You see a lot of pages sharing Rolex and sharing Omega, and actually there's still a lot of Casio pages as well. But there wasn't a huge presence of Timex collectors. So you did have people like Pixie Watches who shares it sometimes, you got Heritage Timex, BP, you got Timex Vintage.mx, so you had some pages. But I wanted to just add to that narrative and add to that excitement. And so I started down that path. But what I really wanted to do was do more storytelling. And that's actually where the name came from, Timex Tales. It was supposed to be telling stories about watches. And I realized that like captions wasn't always the best way to do that. So that's what led me to go down to a YouTube channel. Now, it took me a while to come to an agreement of what the name was. And that's how I eventually came to Wrist Unwound. The purpose of the name is actually, not only where watches and stories meet, but the unwinding of what's behind your wrist. So the concept was for me to think through how do I tell the story of watches, and that's the reason why like my tagline on the website and the pages where watches and stories meet. So in short, to answer the question, it came from a love of storytelling. It came from a love of collectors. I actually love the collectors more than I love the watches, and I just wanted a way to kind of do that. I wanted to bring that hodinky talking watches to the everyday collector. And while I haven't done any interviews on the channel yet in person, I have done some written interviews, but long term, that's the vision, is to get to a hub where we can talk to everyday collectors and talk about our watch stories and talk about what makes them important, because to me, it's more about the stories over the specs. And the true value of a watch is not in its price, but it's in the story that it tells. So that's what led to the creation of the channel, but great question. Let's move on to the next one. What is my favorite watch in my collection and why? That is a very tough question. It's like asking which one is my favorite kid. I got two of them and it really just depends on the day. If I had to pick one watch, I'm gonna pick two because it's my channel and I can do whatever I want. Two watches that I would pick. One is a Timex Ironman. I think it would be the Flicks, but I'm not gonna specify. The reason why is, to me, the Timex Ironman embodies everything that I love about watches and everything that I want to be as a person. Hear me out. The Timex Ironman is accurate, it's reliable, it's practical, it's useful, it is tough, it's resilient, it can take a licking and keep on ticking. And for me, that's who I want to be. I want to be someone who's reliable. I want to be someone who's accurate. I want to be someone who's trustworthy. I want to be someone who can take challenges and overcome them in every aspect of life and be relatable to the everyday person. So to me, the Timex Ironman is like that quintessential watch. Now I understand, it's a quartz watch, digital watch, maybe not for everyone. The second one I would probably choose would be the Timex Ironman Titanium in the Expedition North series. They did just come out with a new one. I'll actually drop an affiliate link down below if you want to check it out. I just got a deal with Timex. Don't worry about that. We talk about that later. But if you want to check out that watch, affiliate link will be in the description. But the reason why I love this watch is I made a video about talking about this, but it was a gift from my aunt. So it gave it a certain emotional appeal. It's the watch that I've worn throughout my entire time as a commander within the Ranger Regiment. I wear it on every single jump. It just has so many memories baked into it. And it's one of those watches that, like, money couldn't really replace it. If you offered me $2,000 for that watch that only came out to be $100 or $200, like, I still wouldn't give it to you because it means more to me than that. And so I think because of the meaning behind that watch, that's probably my favorite watch in my collection, and that's why. If you could own only one watch for the rest of your life, what would it be? Oh, okay, so I'll only get one watch rest of my life. I would pick, man, that is a tough question. Man, if I could only pick one watch to own for the rest of my life, I think that it would be either my Expedition North Titanium for a lot of the reasons I stated before, or it would be my Timex James Brand collab, the GMT, because I do use the GMT feature quite a bit. I like the lightness, the comfortability of the watch. I like the story behind it. So it'd probably be one of those two, but that's a good question. That's a tough one. I'm gonna have to come back and think on that one a little bit longer. Okay, what is a Grail watch you love to own someday? So I actually did make two videos talking about my Grail watches in which ChatGPT talked about the pros of them. I also had one where ChatGPT roasted it, but I've actually updated my taste just a little bit from there. And the watch that's really caught my attention lately that I'm thinking about is actually gonna be the Rolex Oyster Quartz. Now, me and my wife were actually working through a negotiation on how I could get this watch. But anyway, the reason why I love this watch is I do appreciate and respect the history of Rolex. Like, it is what it is from that. Like, they are an incredible brand. But I don't really associate myself with some of their hotter models. I'm not a big Submariner fan. I'm not a big fan of the Day-Date. Just not my style. But if I wanted a Rolex in my collection, I want something that's uniquely me. And so the first thing I want to do is I would like to get something quartz, just because it's just different. And being realistic, I'm going to wear my Rolex as much as I wear my Timex. And so, like, I'm not looking for something crazy expensive or something like, platinum. But the Oyster Quartz, particularly the one with the Buckley dial, I think is so unique. It's so cool and it's special. I think in some ways, it does say to the watch community, because it's not about others, but it's about, you. But like, you want to flex a little bit. I can't lie, I'm human. It shows that, like, I know about watches. I care about horology. But I went out of my way to pick something unique and something different and something just for me, not to show off to other people. And so I think that is a great watch that I've been thinking about a lot lately, and that's my current Grail. Before we get into the controversies of the watch-related questions, it would really mean a lot if you could help me out just a little bit. If you would just comment or subscribe or just like the video, That lets me know that these are the kind of videos that you want to watch. So this is a great way for me to understand if you want more videos like this in the future, or if I should go to different types of content. So just, hit the subscribe button, hit a comment. It means a lot to the channel. Let's get back into the questions. Watch related questions. What is the best affordable watch under $100 and $500? So I specialize in collecting Timex watches. And so, there are a lot of other brands out there like Casio and Seiko and Orient that you could probably find some, but I will talk about the brand that I know the most about. Some of the best watches you can get for under $500, I do think come from Timex. If you want a chronograph, the Waterbury chronograph, they just came out with a new model, but I think the tricolor gives you that Zenith El Primero vibe, but just an absolutely beautiful watch for an affordable price, under $250. I think the Expedition North Series, they just came out with a new update, 38 millimeter quartz model, titanium case. That's gonna look beautiful with the white dial. Also the 41 millimeter, which is also the automatic movement. I think that's gonna be the great field watch. For a dress watch, if you can still find it, the Galley S1, I think, is a watch that not only is under $500, but is a watch that will appreciate in time. And there's a bunch of different colorways, but it's such a unique design. But those are 3 watches that come off the top of the dome for the best affordable watches around that price range. What are some watches that I regret buying? The only watches that I regret buying are the watches that I don't wear. Watches are meant to be worn. And so while I do have a lot of watches, I do get most of them in the rotation and put them in and out a lot. I think, not that I regret some of my vintage watches, but I think there's a certain fear of breaking them. And it's kind of like turned me off to buying more vintage watches. So I've really slowed down on my vintage purchases because I don't want to mess them up when I'm wearing them, but I want to wear my tools. And so those are the only watches that I think I regret, but I don't know. I'll have to think on that one a little bit more. What are some underrated watch brands people should pay more attention to? And the other question that came with that was, do I work for Timex? So for one, the answer to the question, underrated brand that you should pay attention to is Timex. Number 2 is, do I work for Timex? No, I don't work for Timex, but if Timex is looking to hire me, I'm open. But I just really love their models. I think it's a brand that has an incredible heritage and lineage. And I think it's still underrated in a lot of circles, so that when you bring in one of the more exclusive Timex models, or you show something a little bit more unique, it is kind of fun to like open people's eyes to that. You're gonna get great value, you're gonna get great quality, amazing customer service from what I've been able to see. But I do not work for them. I do have an affiliate program that I've been working out with them, but like I don't get like a paycheck from them per se. So every time you see me talk about a watch, it's because I truly actually enjoy them. There are some Timexes that I actually don't like, that I don't talk about. So if I'm talking about it, it's because I actually want to talk about it. I've never been paid for a review, and I never will be paid for a review unless I get hired by Timex directly. All right, now it's time for the controversy. These next 2 questions, this is where, feel free, if you already subscribed earlier, get your finger next to the thing, because you might just unsubscribe, whatever it's called. What is my take on Homage watches, and are they good or bad for the hobby? I'm gonna say something that I've been struggling with. Homage watches, 100% good for the hobby. Fake watches could be good for the hobby. Hear me out. Homage watches really allow someone to get a feel for a watch that they may not ever be able to acquire, or may not be able to afford. And in that realm, if that's what gets someone, sparks their passion, and they eventually learn more about watches, like, I'm all for that. Fake watches, same but different. Not taking into account that fake watches are potentially funneling to companies that have unsavory business practices. That part separate, because you don't know for sure if that is true or not. Buying a fake watch might help someone fall in love and appreciate watches more. And if it leads to them falling down the hobby even deeper, I think that is good for the hobby. People who buy fake watches and act like they're real with no intention of ever learning more about the horology, I think it's bad. But that doesn't make fake watches in themselves good or bad. I don't know. That's my take. Let me know if you disagree down below. But, please don't unsubscribe. But if you do, I understand. That's how I feel. Please just try to convince me otherwise. And then the next one is, what watch brands do I think are overrated? And this is where I know that a lot of people are going to disagree with me. And it's going to be 2. One of them, I think they might agree. The one that people might agree, I think, is Breitling. I have never been a fan of Breitling. I don't think their designs are personally appealing to me. They typically are just very overcumbersome. They got too much going on the dial. All right, it's just too much for me. Don't like the way they look. Just not my style. The other one that I know is going to be weird is, I don't really like Omega. I and it's not like, I don't think that they're bad company or they're bad watches, but the thing when you think about Omega, you think about chronographs. And I'm not a huge fan of chronographs to start with. And so because of the business of the dial, I just have never fallen in love with chronos as much. The other thing is, I think the Moon Swatch is great for the hobby, stupid for my collection. I would never own one personally. And so I just really think that Omega likes to put their name on things and cause it to cost more. But if you took off the label, some of it wouldn't be worth nearly half of what it is. That's my stand. Hey, look, you can't kill me, I'm human, all right? What's one watch trend that you love and one you can't stand? The one I love is smaller watches and understanding that watches don't have to have a gender. And so I have a friend, I know people who wear watches that are women's watches, but like, it's a watch, tells time. Maybe it's a color that is more feminine, but like it doesn't make it a woman's watch, in my opinion. That's my thing. They might be a little dainty, but who cares? A watch trend that I can't stand is the over-reliance on Instagram culture. And I could probably make a whole video about that, but I think that sometimes we get so caught up in the hobby of wanting to get the next like or getting people to see it that like it sometimes takes away from the enjoyment. And so I found myself in the beginning like posting about a lot of watches, like a lot of new watch alerts, and feeling that dopamine hit, and then it made me question, am I buying this for the gram or is I buying this for me? And so I've actually bought a lot of purchases that I haven't shared on Instagram because I want to make sure that I'm buying it for my own enjoyment. And so I think the over-reliance on likes and shares and comments on Instagram can be kind of negative for the hobby and negative for us as individuals that we gotta take away from. So, and then ending the last question, what's the best way for a beginner to start a watch collection? I think start with what you like, start with what you love, and try to start as slow as possible, because in the beginning you're gonna buy way too many watches. You gotta slow down. You gotta buy them, you gotta wear them, you gotta think about it and get some uses. And also check out some other great YouTube channels. Sophie Watch World, Watch Out 247, Scholar Santana, Trap Vision 3D. Check out other channels, see what people are wearing on their wrists, see what their reviews are, and just get some other takes. Build up your knowledge before you build up your pocketbook and start buying a bunch of things. That's it for this video, Q&A time. Let me know what you think. Did you like this video? Do you think I should keep this format going? Should I try something else? And if you got some questions, drop them down below. But no matter what, thank you for spending your most important resource with me. I pray that you and your family are blessed in the days ahead. And if you got time, check out some of the other videos, wherever they are. Until then, God bless and peace.